Hi, my name is Anna Palamumi, and I'm a speech-language pathologist. And today I want to talk about internationally adopted children. Because I'm in the U.S., this video primarily addresses American families adopting from abroad, but this information might be useful to other parents who are adopting around the world. And I'll begin by talking about some language development trends, or what we tend to see with internationally adopted children if you've already brought your child home and have questions or concerns. But then I'm going to address those of you who are right in the middle of the adoption process and one crucial step that you should take while you're in the birth country. First, I want to say congratulations to you on this journey. I have two siblings who have adopted internationally, so I know a little bit about what you're experiencing. But as a speech and language specialist, I also want to point you in the right direction if you have questions about your child's speech and language development. You're among thousands and thousands of families adopting each year, and no matter what has led you to this decision, it's a decision that will change the rest of your life. And so I hope I can help you in this particular area of speech and language. Since language development and school readiness and adjustment are often at the forefront of parents' minds, I just want to address what realistic expectations for your child might be based on their age at adoption. I'll be referring primarily to the work of Dr. Sharon Glennon, and she's a speech-language pathologist like myself who has done extensive research in the area of language development in internationally adopted children, partly because she is an adoptive parent herself. And I'm going to try to summarize some of her work here, particularly from one article that she wrote for Speech Language Pathologist, and it's entitled Speech and Language Mythbusters for Internationally Adopted Children. And it can be found in a publication called the ASHA Leader, which is available online if you'd like to read it for yourself. The first thing I want to say is, because most adoptive parents don't speak the birth language of their internationally adopted child, what we commonly see is that expressive and receptive language loss occurs very rapidly with these children because their need for the native language is virtually non-existent once they're completely immersed in the adoptive language. And so internationally adopted children are bilingual only for a short period of time after adoption. The research actually shows that children adopted at ages 3 and 4 lose most of their expressive language use, or their ability to speak in their native language, within just 6 to 12 weeks of adoption. And then their receptive skills, or their ability to understand their native language, is lost within 16 to 22 weeks, so in as little as 4 months. So what happens at that point is that internationally adopted children become monolingual in English, even though their language acquisition of English may not be complete. If the child you're adopting is under 2 years of age, the research shows that internationally adopted children develop English within a normal range. So we're talking about their language comprehension, their production, and their articulation skills, which basically deals with acquiring the English sound system. You should see a surge of language that occurs pretty quickly within the first year home. So Glennon's research shows that within 1 year of adoption, most children adopted as 2-year-olds also score within the normal range on English language tests of both comprehension and expression. When she looked at children adopted as 3 and 4-year-olds, they also scored within the normal range on English language comprehension tests after 1 year, but they did take a little bit more time to develop expressive language skills fully in English. So in a nutshell, for you as a parent to know, the majority of internationally adopted children who are adopted before age 2 have normal English language skills after 1 year home. So if you're not seeing that normal language development, then you should pursue a speech and language evaluation for your child. For those 2, 3, and 4-year-olds, we might see some more variation in their language development, but you should see them picking up English at a fairly steady and normal rate as well. So again, if you're not seeing that at home, it may be wise to seek out a professional evaluation to determine what their needs are. Some of you, though, are adopting older children, and that's where it becomes a little bit more difficult to gauge whether any delays that you're seeing means seek out a speech language evaluation or give them some additional time to acquire the English language. And Glennon, she recognizes that more research is needed as far as older internationally adopted children, but she does suggest that if you're seeing significant English language delays after the first 2 years home, that these should be looked into further and possibly treated as true language or speech disorders. One thing that we do know is that children adopted at older ages are normally at a higher risk for speech and language delays. So Glennon's and my recommendation to you is that you obtain as much information as you possibly can about your child's speech and language development during your adoption process. If you find that there are concerns about your child's speech and language development in their birth language, then as soon as your child is home with you and your child has adjusted a bit to their new home and culture, there's really no need to wait before you seek out a language evaluation and intervention if therapy is warranted. So what I've done is develop an easy screening tool specifically for adoptive parents. And some might say, why would you do that? Because there are a lot of speech and language screening tools that are available already, and you can find them online. But the reason is because most of what's out there is written for speech and language pathologists. And so some of the terminology might be difficult for you or for others to understand, especially if you're asking orphanage workers or caseworkers that are not really in tune with speech and language development in general. So I tried to make this tool very user-friendly, but thorough enough that you can obtain as much information as possible about your child's communication skills in their native language so that this information can be considered in any future speech and language evaluations here in the U.S. If accurate information is not obtained from the start, by the time that you might have some concerns, it'll be really too late to consider their native language and their native language proficiency because of the significant language loss that will already have occurred. In other words, the knowledge of the language proficiency of your child is only going to be beneficial in the evaluation process if that knowledge is based on what was happening before your child's complete language immersion experience. And so my hope is that this tool will assist you in asking the right questions of orphanage workers, caseworkers, or any adult familiar with your child while you are in the birth country. You can then store away these answers if the need arises for more information, whether it's immediately or in the future. And the screening tool is available on my website at www.thespeechstop.com. And so I just say good luck in your journey, and feel free to contact me via my website if anything is unclear or if you have additional questions. And thank you so much for your time today.